Welcome to the yoga method. Please come and join Sky and I for another hip mobility session. Hip mobility is the cornerstone to moving pain-free and to our longevity. We hope you enjoy this class. So come and join us on your mat as soon as you're ready. So in forward fold, I'd like for you to have your feet hip distance apart to begin with. And let's take a moment with our hands on our shins to lift our heads, to lift our hearts as we breathe in. And our exhalation gently folding in as far as the body will allow. So on an in-breath, hands to the front of the shin. How long can you make your spine, your arms, your legs? And on your exhalation, wrap your hands behind and use the strength to pull you in. On your in-breath, lift, lengthen, pause, and hold. And on the exhalation, bowing into yourself. Let's do 2 more. So bringing freedom, mobility to our lower back, and lots of length to our hamstrings. One more time. Exaggerate the lift of the heart, the lift of the head, the lift of the chin and the chest, before gently easing your way back in. Pausing here, lifting the head enough so you can ground your fingertips. And then please bring your feet hip distance apart with your toes slightly turned out. Pistol grip your big toes. On your in-breath, once again, lengthen, lift, looking forward. And on your exhalation, bending as far as your body will allow. On your in-breath, reaching high, maybe even looking high. And on that exhalation, find your feet again. Inhale, lifting heads, lifting hearts. And on the exhalation, chin towards the chest, looking between your knees. Inhale, flat back extension. Exhale to bend the knees as far as your body will allow. On the in-breath, reach high, look high. Exhale to find your big toes again. Inhale, hips lift, hearts lift, heads lift. Exhale, chin to chest as we ease our way in. One more time, inhaling to lift, to lengthen, to pause. On the exhalation, as far as your hips, your knees, your ankles will allow you to go. Testing our shoulder, active range of motion on the in-breath. Exhaling to gently find our big toes again. Lift your hips, lift your heads, lift your hearts. And then chin to chest, easing your way into that forward fold. Let's stay here for a moment. And I invite you just to sway a little bit side to side through your pelvis, through your hips. Just noticing, what's speaking the loudest. And without labeling, without judging, just observing the sensation. And then finding our stillness together. Lifting heads, hearts, as we realign the toes. Walk your hands towards the top of your mat, please, and take your left foot forward, right leg back. So moving just into some dynamic hip opening. So please shift your knee beyond your ankle, but checking that your knee is right over top your second and your third toe. And then from here, just pressing dynamically into your back foot and exhaling to lower. So knees are beyond the ankle. That's allowed, as long as we've got good alignment between the hip, the knee, and the ankle. And now we're actively working the range of motion through our right hip flexor. And we're using the strength, ideally, of our right glute to lift and lengthen, and then exhaling to land. So can you work dynamically with the strength of your core and the strength of your hip extenders to open your hip flexors? One more time, lift, pause, hold, and on your exhalation, gently release. Please keep the femur tracking forward, reaching high for a moment before you touch your shoulder, and then create just a slight baby back bend. So there's a dynamic tuck of your tail, a lifting of the pelvic floor, a drawing in of your core, and at the same time, engaging through your right glute. Taking 2 more breaths. One more full breath in, and on that exhalation, releasing the hand down, please. Take a moment to give the hip flexor a reprieve as we open through our left hamstring. Find the length of your spine. Gently draw back through your left hip as your right hip squares. And then finding connection to your breath again. On your in-breath, just lift your chin and chest. And on your exhalation, bowing in any amount. Ripple upwards on the in-breath. And on the exhalation, gently tuck the chin and pull yourselves in. Just notice as we move through this range of motion through our spine, how that changes what we are feeling through our left hamstring. Last two, please. One more before gently releasing the foot, and let's just bring that leg all the way around. Take a moment with your knees super wide, heels wider than your knees, and just see if you can sit back between your feet. You could always use a block to support you if the floor is feeling too far away. I'd like for you not to ever feel this in your knee. So if you feel it in your hips, super duper. If it's in your knees, no good, please. So a block to elevate you if you prefer. All we're exploring is a little bow forward, and then a rise up. So on the exhalation, leading with your heart, see how that feels, and gently easing your way up. So exhaling. Inhaling, maybe you go past that neutral position. Last two, please. And one more. So there's only two types of flexibility. We have passive and dynamic. And dynamic flexibility is another name for mobility. So we do want to have the strength to control the range of motion that we have available in our bodies. Taking a moment here just to pause in a happy cat to open through front body. And on the exhalation, moving into your angry cat or your cow. And then please just create a few circles through your spine. So if you can think like a ripple, a wave, a figure 8, an infinity symbol, and then just reversing the other way. It's easier to go one direction for all of us. Last 3. Last 2. I've heard someone call this disco cat. One more. And then once you've reached that neutral position, it will be your right leg forward and your left leg back, please. So we're setting up with our knee shifting beyond our ankle joint. So my knee is right over my second and third toe. I'm going to use the strength of my arms to help lift my torso, and then dynamically engaging through the left glute to bring stability, but to also open through that hip flexor. And when the time is right for you, on your in-breath, lengthen through your back leg. And on the exhalation, gently land. So we're using the strength of our hip stabilizers, our glute max, glute med, glute min, to help open the front of our hip. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. It's hard work. Inhale, lift. Exhale to lower. Keep rechecking pelvic floor. Keep rechecking the abdominals. Navel towards the spine. There's 3 more remaining. Inhale, power into your back leg. Exhaling to lower. Last 2. Rise, pause, hold. One more time, one more time. Powering into your back thigh before releasing the knee. Keep your right leg forward. Reach high for a moment. Catch your hand to your left shoulder blade, and then use hand to help you create a little bit more of a back bend shape. So the thigh on the right is tracking towards the second and the third toe. The pelvic floor is lifted, the navel is drawing towards the spine, and we're deliberately engaging our left glute for 2 more breaths. One more full deep breath in and out. Easing your way out of that shape. Please walk your hands back for your hamstring stretch or Ardha Hanumanasana. Take a moment to really exaggerate the lift of your heart, the drawing back of your right hip. And when the time is right for you, the in-breath lifts the chin. And the exhalation, we're exploring just flexion through the spine. So noticing how a change in our spinal position brings different sensation to our right hamstring. So moving slowly, moving mindfully, never, ever, ever forcing the body, please. Last 3. So on the in-breath, get as long as you possibly can, include your chin. And on the exhalation, bowing your mind to your heart. Last 2. Dynamically lift and lengthen. On the exhalation, articulating the spine into flexion. One more time, extend, lift, pause, and hold before gently releasing that hand to the inside. So coming into our quadricep stretch and our hip flexor stretch in our Hero Thunderbolt pose. So variation 1, as I had us doing before, we're just going to move with the breath into a little bit of flexion through the spine. And on the inhalation, we'll gently lift. Variation 2, with your hands here, I'd like to see if you could lift up on the in-breath, press your pelvis forward, and on your exhalation, slowly control the descent. So how slowly, how mindfully can you move into hip extension actively before you're gently easing your way back down to the mat. So strengthening in these different planes and ranges of motion. So beneficial for the health of our hips and our spines. Last 2 as we are. Slowly, gently descending. And one more time as you pause and hold at the top this time, create a little bit of a back bend shape. I'd like you to take your left hand to your hip, maybe to your hamstring, maybe to your heel, and just explore whether it feels okay to reach high with your right hand, please. So dynamically press your pelvis forward, core is on, pelvic floor is on, glutes are really active. Take 2 more breaths in this unilateral camel pose shape. And when the time is right for you, hands meet. And then on the exhalation, descend again. Just do 3 more of these active movements. So press your pelvis forward, be strong through your core, through your hips. Exhaling to descend. Ready to rise. One more time, please. Pausing, holding at the top. Dynamically press the pelvis forward. And then taking your right hand to your hip, to your hamstring, maybe your calf, maybe your heel. And then exploring sending your left hand high, if that feels appropriate for you today. How strongly can you engage your glutes? Lift through your pelvic floor, draw the navel in, and take 2 more mindful breaths. 1 more, please, before gently releasing back. And let's take a moment in child's pose, please. Knees wide, big toes together, before easing our way in. And I'd love for you to create just a gentle sway. Just a gentle sway. Releasing any tension that's developed. Last 2 breaths with a little bit of movement. And 1 more full breath in. So this is passive flexibility, where we just pause and we hold a shape, creating a deep sense of relaxation and restoration in the body. Taking 1 more breath here before you ease your way up to a seated position. And I'm going to turn to the long edge of the mat, and I would encourage you to do the same. So please bring your feet really, really wide. And we'll move through just a few different variations of the same movement pattern. And Wherever you are, it's perfect, right? So variation 1, our hands are going to start just behind us. We'll take a lift of our hearts as we breathe in. And on the exhalation, just allow your right knee to move into internal rotation and your left knee into external rotation. Just inhale to come back. And on the exhalation, gently moving into the opposite side. So this is the perfect place to begin. And the knees may not touch the mat. Perfect. It doesn't matter. We're just lovingly, compassionately, kindly meeting our bodies where they are today. Let's do 2 more with our hands behind us. Inhaling to return back to the midline. Exhaling to gently send the hips towards your right. As we return to the midline, I'm going to invite you to now bring your hands just in front. So when you're ready, as we open, we're going to transfer the hands to frame the shin. And I'd love for you to bow a little bit towards your shin if that's a possibility for you. And then as you rise back to the midline, could you reach forward while keeping your big toes grounded? And then pivoting to the other side, frame your foot, frame your knee, bow your heart towards your shin. And then as you rise back to the midline, bring both hands in front and ease your way forward any amount. So slowly, mindfully, this is dynamic because we're using the strength of our muscles to move us in and out of these positions. We'll just do 1 more like this and then I'll offer another variation to you, please. So as we return back to the midline this time, I'd like for you to lengthen your legs as you come forward. So we'll rise up, we'll bend the knees, we'll pivot. And now this time, could you leave your arms off the floor as you return to the midline, lengthen and reach forward any amount before rising back up. There's a phenomena that happens. You'll find that your pelvis begins to shift forward. So you're going to get closer and closer to the long edge of your mat. So anytime you need to readjust, please do. So dynamically now, there's no support from the hands. We're only using the support of the muscle to move us through these positions. So this is the perfect complement, right, to our passive or static stretches, to use dynamic flexibility or mobility postures to really enhance the stability and the strength in all these ranges of motion. Beautiful crew. We're going to come back through this one last time. So easing your way forward any amount. And then we rise up before we pivot. Look ma, no hands. And then easing your way in. As you come back to the midline this time, let's pause here. Readjust anything that needs to readjust. And then come forward actively. So the toes are drawing back, the flesh is rolling back, the hands are off the floor, the core is on, the back extensors are on, and we're taking 1 more full breath in. And then I'd like for you just to completely relax, supporting yourself with your hands, with your forearms, wherever this feels possible for you. Meet your body where it is. Believing in the magic of our physiology, our anatomy, and its ability to transform and change and adapt at any age, any stage of life. Please take 2 more breaths as you are. 1 more full, deep, beautiful breath in. And out. And when the time is right, lifting through your heads, your hearts, easing your way in. We're coming to the left shin. So 90-90. And once again, just taking a moment here to ease your way forward actively. So the muscles are controlling the descent. How far can you come without using your hands? And then when the time is right, please let's take a moment in stillness. So option 1, we might look like this. And if that's still too strong, you're just going to lean into your backhand to take some of the load, some of the strain off. Variation 2, we're up high. Variation 3, we're finding anything in between. And maybe you're releasing your head and maybe you're not. It doesn't matter as long as you're breathing fully, smoothly, gently, mindfully. Believing in the magic and the possibility of your body. One more breath as you are. And then I'd love for you to walk your heart so it's right above your foot. And this again is where we begin this process. Variation 2, a little bit lower. And variation 3, could you rest your elbow, so it'll be your left elbow along the sole of your left foot, and then bring your palms together, pressing down in order to lift up, creating a little bit of rotation. At the same time, we are creating hip mobility, staying and breathing for 2 more breaths. One more glorious, deep, beautiful breath in before we gently release our eye gaze to the floor first, hands, and then when the time is right, return to the midline, make any adjustments you need before setting up on the other side. I've got yellow flowers everywhere. How nice. And then let's actively move into this other side. So making sure you have 90-90 and then easing your way in. As far as your body can control the descent. And when you feel your end point, we'll all just gently land our hands. Whether we're high, whether we're leaning into the backhand, coming to our forearms, coming down to rest our forehead. Celebrating our efforts in this moment. Knowing we were victorious the moment we showed up on our mats. A little bit every day, compounded and aggregated over time, equals magic. Transformation occurs. Let's take 3 more breaths. For 2. For 1. Before we gently ease our way up, and we're walking our hands to frame our foot. If the possibility is there, we descend a little bit further onto our forearms perhaps, or that final option of placing your right elbow in the sole of your right foot. Stack your palms, stack your elbows, press down in order to lift upwards. So the core is on, the shoulder stabilizers are on, and then we're flooding the body with our awareness and our breath. One more full, deep, smooth, beautiful breath in and out. When you're ready, gently rising up and out of that shape. And let's just finish in Sukhasana or a half lotus or a full lotus, whatever your body will allow. With your hands resting momentarily just on the back of your knees. I'd love for you to dynamically lengthen through your spine. And please stack your ears over your shoulders over your hips. Feeling length in the spine, lightness in your hearts, and bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. Silently or externally, repeat after me. I believe in the magic of love. I believe in the magic of hope. I believe in the magic of kindness and positivity. I believe in the magic of gratitude. And I believe in the magic of my dreams and the power and the possibility of transformation. So with your hearts full of love, hope, kindness, positivity, gratitude, your dreams, and the possibility of transformation, we celebrate our efforts together as we take one more breath before closing our practice with a bow. Namaste. Thank you, beautiful crew. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you soon.